It's Adam from Oslo. So what is actually a cheap eat? Now, traditionally, the media is writing about the expensive restaurant. So finding the best deals, I'm much more depending on a word of mouth approach. Now, when I talk to people, I always ask them, what is their favorite restaurant and do you have any suggestions for cheap Eats Barcelona? And before answering, they typically ask, what are your criteria? How do you define a cheap eat? I strongly believe that cheap eats, or the definition, is relative. Now, a person might try to find a cheap steak, so a 20 euro steak at a local bistro, or you can be looking for a hamburger which is costing 5 euros at a food truck. Now, it's all relative. But one thing that I do look for is that they source quality ingredients for a cheap price. Now that's quite important, and I give a lot of depth to that. So putting a maximum price point, it's quite difficult. I mean, cheap it should be exactly what it says, cheap, right? So we go back to the burger steak dilemma. Now most burgers, and especially most of the best ones in the city, are less than 10 euros. Now most steaks are quite expensive. You won't find one for less than 15 euros, depending on the cut, of course. However, is it a cheap eat if it's a 9 euro burger, but it's tasting like versus if it's a steak and you can get it for 12 euros and it's amazing? What is the cheap eats? It's hard to define. Or should we redefine cheap eats to the most value meal eats? Nah, but that becomes way too complex. Now, how I want to narrow it down is actually, first of all, apply my 4 rules. So that it has to be freshly prepared, it has to be filling for the average appetite, it also gotta be frugal, so inexpensive, and the last F is for a friend. Taking that into consideration, I wouldn't put a roof on everything, but let's put a 10 euro limit. Now this limit can be surpassed if it's a really good deal. Unless I will not put it on show. But that's at least my definition, and I hope you like to see more of those cheap eats. Thank you, and see you soon. Bon appétit!
Bon appétit!